Hey everyone, welcome back to Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Season 6, Episode 2. We start back at the campsite where the ladies are now sleeping in the RV and they're waking up from their last night's excursion of finding Molly, apparently. We see the ladies wake up and they're about to brush their teeth in the river, which weird, and they are about to get breakfast started. But before breakfast, we see the mountains, the air. It just all looks very natural, very nature, and it is a beautiful sight. The morning animals and everything. And as they're taking in the sights, they are beginning to start breakfast. Now, I don't know why Bronwyn is even cooking. We all know Bronwyn cannot cook, and Mary is right to question it, which was hilarious. And of course, Meredith has to come in and take over because Bronwyn just can't cook, and Meredith made steaks. The ladies finish making breakfast. They all sit around a campfire, and of course they start to discuss what is going on in their lives. And Heather discusses how her last child is leaving the house. She's about to move out and go to college, and understandably she is emotional because now she kind of gets to breathe, gets to be a little bit more free, and she is ready to start the next chapter in her life. Heather also discusses how the Mormon faith made her feel as a woman and how she had to function as a mom. And even after her husband left, she was still responsible for 100% of the work while the dad got to be the fun parent. Heather then gets emotional, and within the comfort of the other ladies, Bronwyn also tries to discuss how instead of letting her child leave, she moves the boyfriend in so she would stay longer, which is one of her insecurities as a mom. Bronwyn also states how she doesn't know how to be anything else but a mom, to which I get. She wants all the time she can get with her child before she becomes fully grown and will eventually leave to possibly start her own life as well. I feel like Bronwyn, with all that money, honey, start a business. You can have plenty of things to do and still be able to see your child as well and her growing into adulthood. However, Heather takes offense. Heather gets offended that she thinks Bronwyn is saying that she doesn't care or loves her children because she's ready for them to leave so she can start her next chapter. I feel like Heather purposefully misunderstood her because I feel Bronwyn as well. Like, we don't want to see our kids go. We want all the time we want with them, and it's kind of hard to start the next chapter, as your kid gets older. Whitney also chimes in saying that she now wants to be a stay-at-home mom, and because of the business failures that her and Justin are now going through, they both have to now work to recoup all the losses and to recoup more money back into the household. And Whitney feels like she's not getting enough time with the children. Whitney also explains that her and Justin have now started a business or merged a business together. And it started out well, but it's now been suffering. And so now they have to do everything, put everything into it just to keep it afloat, which the ladies also comfort her as well. Whitney then asked Mary about how her life is, how Robert Jr. is doing, and Mary states that he's doing well, taking it day by day, which that's the only thing he can do. And I hope Robert Jr. is doing well. Mary and Robert Sr. also discussed that he needs to work on himself and get better at being responsible for himself as an adult. The ladies then pack up. They get ready to head home. And as they're leaving, the RV gets stuck in like a little ditch, a little bump, or a little pothole. And the ladies get out to push. Now, I don't know why they asked Mary, would she go and push a truck out? But I'm with Mary. I'm not pushing nobody's RV. I don't even know why they even asked Mary that. But they get the RV unstuck and they head on home. We then get to see clips of the ladies' lives. Whitney is trying to race her kids while they're on their bikes. Angie and her daughter walking the dog. Heather and Angie on the phone discussing going to Amy, a socialite that they all know, going to her party. And we then get to Heather arriving to brunch or lunch with none other than Lisa. Of course, when they sit down, Heather tells Lisa everything that was going on at the RV. You should have came and things like that. And of course, they get down to the nitty gritty. Who said what about me and what happened and what did you do? At this point, I think Heather did absolutely too much. She spills on what happened, what was discussed. Heather states that Bronwyn was there to annihilate her, which was false. Heather absolutely did the most. Just adding too much just to be on Lisa's side. I feel like Bronwyn was just doing what Lisa did, adding her side of the story, kind of like what Lisa does. She digs in everybody else's lives and then throws it in their face, and that's what Bronwyn did. Heather, to me, is just trying to look good in front of Lisa, keep herself out of the situation so Lisa doesn't treat her bad, even though Heather and Bronwyn were actually cool on the trip without Lisa being there. Lisa then states how the court cases were dismissed or on their way to being dismissed, and that they did not do anything. So, of course, Lisa is offended. Everybody's talking about her. She swears nobody's defending her. But Lisa, you bring up everyone's problems. And I don't know why you feel like you're above reproach. Like you can't get talked about as well. Then, of course, Lisa's condescending, elitist attitude comes out. And Heather doesn't like it. But at the same time, Heather, this is the same woman that you're trying to be friends with. This is the same woman that you keep throwing everybody under the bus for. And if Heather wasn't too busy kissing Lisa's behind, then Heather would be able to stand up to her and tell her, to stop being such an elitist. You're not better than the rest of us. So Lisa does ask, did Meredith stand up for her? And of course, Heather lies. I feel like Meredith did enough. I feel like Meredith is trying to shut down just like everyone else is. Just because Meredith doesn't want to argue with everybody and just wants to shut down the conversation doesn't mean that Meredith did not stand up for Lisa. It was just done in a different way. Heather also didn't mention that Brittany stood up for Lisa as well. Now, I'm not a fan of Brittany. I really don't want Brittany there. But Brittany did chime in even though she was not needed or necessary. I also feel like the ladies weren't just discussing Lisa's cases. They were discussing how Lisa acts when she lashes out and puts everybody else's business out to the group while everybody else should remain hush-hush about her business. And no, that's not going to happen. That's not fair. And if you want to talk about my business, I'm going to talk about yours. So I don't feel bad for Lisa in this moment. So Lisa gives us this dry cry, no tears. And of course, Heather comforts her. I think Heather just likes to please. She's a people pleaser, and I'm going to need her to grow out of that. We then get to Whitney and Bronwyn on the slopes. Obviously, they have grown in friendship, so they are starting to hang out together. And they also discuss the trip. They also discuss the issue with Heather and Bronwyn at the campsite, their little spat. And of course, they discuss the double standard with Lisa's court cases and issues and how Lisa's always bringing up everyone else's issue. Bronwyn brings up how Lisa has this side secret guy, and he's the one that's funding her and giving her money. To which that was Angie who said that as well, I think last year at the reunion, that she has this side guy and that the side guy is, apparently funding Lisa's Botox. Now, I want to know where Bronwyn get all this tea because it was rather juicy. In this next scene, we get a view of Mary's house and her talking to Robert Jr., in a nice, calm manner. And they discuss how his progress is going. And my heart does go out to him and Mary. That's a very tough thing to deal with. Robert Jr. discusses how he feels isolated. And Mary tells him that it's just something that he has to sometimes isolate. And I feel like he needs that to also self-reflect. But if he feels isolated, then it may bring back memories of him being in that room. And maybe he just needs a change of scenery. Maybe he needs to go to a different room. And maybe it'll help him get better. I also understand how Mary feels. She feels like because she was a helicopter mom, that it caused him to not want to share as often. But at the same time, I don't think she should let go now. I think this is the moment where she needs to be a helicopter mom to make sure that he stays on track. At the same time, he does need to learn how to grow by himself to become a better adult. In the next scene, we see Bronwyn on her way to meet up with Heather for lunch. And I know Bronwyn just wants to be friends with Heather, but I feel like as long as Heather is trying to ride Lisa's coattail, that friendship is not going to happen. But the ladies meet up, and of course, when they sit down, it's awkward. So after they ordered drinks, they start to catch up on their lives. Bronwyn then brings up discussion they had at the RV before leaving. I feel like in this moment, Heather tries to deflect because Bronwyn was just trying to find a way to empathize with Heather. And Heather took it the wrong way. And I do understand Bronwyn. I feel like Bronwyn was trying to take baby steps with Heather because she's always walking on eggshells. And Heather just finds a way to knock it back to kind of like not acknowledge the fact that Bronwyn is trying to be her friend. And if Heather doesn't want to be Bronwyn's friend, then just say that. It's okay. You don't have to be friends with everyone. Just coexist without being disrespectful to one another. The ladies also discuss Lisa and how after the reunion, Lisa was still talking bad about Bronwyn. And in this moment, I just think it's all kiddie. If you're going to be cool, then be cool. But if you're not, then just say that. Just let me know up front so I can stop being so nice to you. I can just be cordial and then just call it a day. In this next scene, we see all the ladies head out to Amy's party. We see all the girls show up. They all look great. I feel like Bronwyn was my favorite dress, but Lisa did have on a great outfit. So as all the ladies start to show up or either start to converse amongst other guests, we see Lisa arriving. So as Lisa arrives, we see Heather, Brittany, and Meredith, the only ones to look like, they're happy she has arrived, and Mary. And as soon as Lisa comes in, after saying hi to everybody, she goes in right on to Meredith, asking her what happened. And here comes Brittany, doing the most, ready to open her mouth, ready to run her mouth, ready to tell everything she done seen and she done heard. Brittany then tells Lisa that Angie compared her to Jen Shaw, which I think it was just a poor tasting joke, but we carry on. We all see Lisa, Meredith, and Brittany having that discussion. And of course, Whitney hears Bronwyn's name and tells Angie that they, of course, were discussing her. So Lisa heads over to Angie to talk to her about what she said. And of course, it starts to get just a little bit too rowdy. But Bronwyn interjects and says, if you're mad at me, talk to me about it. You don't need to talk to Angie about it. Of course, Lisa tries to dismiss her. And I'm sorry, Bronwyn was eating in this moment, because Lisa didn't want none of that smoke and Bronwyn was there to give it, and Bronwyn did not care. Now the scene jumps to all the husband talking to Jared about Brittany, if he loves her, if he's in love with her, and all that tripping up over his tongue. Jared is just there for the cameras and for the money. That is all Jared and Brittany is here for. But then we hop back to Lisa and Bronwyn arguing, and of course it's getting the looks, and I can tell the host Amy is not too proud. So, of course, when Lisa can't handle the conversation with Bronwyn, because Bronwyn's come with receipts, Lisa starts to deflect, call names, and we all know what happens when Lisa is confronted. She resorts to name calling. The whole party is now paying attention to the ladies and their arguments while Lisa is still throwing insults. So Bronwyn brings up the mystery guy and how that guy's paying for her expenses. In this moment, to see Whitney and Bronwyn just go in on Lisa was hilarious, because of course Lisa's going to lie. Of course she's going to deflect. She doesn't want her husband to know. But Whitney also hops in and goes, that's what it's stating in the court documents. That's what we saw, that you didn't want your husband to know that there was another guy paying for all your expenses. Lisa continues to throw her insults, and Bronwyn is just not, she's not backing down. She stands full 10, and I'm loving every bit of it. And of course, if you're going to call someone like that a COCK sucker, at least it's Bronwyn's husband. Yeah, she's going to do that for her husband. Do you know how much money that man hands over? Yeah, I'm going to do it for my husband. At least it's not some random man that my husband doesn't know. So Lisa continues to deflect, slur names, and, the ladies continue to argue, and it comes to an end. Now, I still think Bronwyn ate, and she looked good doing it. But that's all I have. Drop down in the comments. Let me know what you think. Send a like. I'll see you next time.